You guys, home buyers make mistakes all the time. And you're probably thinking, wait, not me. I've done a ton of research and I know what's what. I will not make those silly mistakes like not shopping around for a mortgage or not doing a home inspection. All right, I'm not talking about those mistakes, you guys. I am actually talking about mistakes that are much less common, that they will trip up even the most experienced buyers. And one of them is actually so widely touted as this awesome strategy for a buyer, but I will tell you, this is a slap in the buyer's face. I am Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. This is my channel. I do videos here about moving to and living in the DC area, to include Maryland and Virginia. I'm going to put my contact info up. If you're interested in buying, selling, all that good stuff, you can reach out and contact me. Also, feel free to subscribe so that you will get notifications of new videos. All right, so buyer mistakes in seller markets, they're actually different than mistakes that buyers make in the more level market, which is really where we are now. So I'm going to name all of these mistakes and then I'm going to go through them and tell you kind of what they entail. First thing, the chameleon. So the chameleon assumes that the market is always going to be like this, whatever this is. If the market is crazy with 10 offers for a property, the chameleon goes right out there because they believe that that's going to be the case for every single property. If the market's more sluggish, the chameleon thinks, hey, the property is sitting on the market, they're going to take a lowball offer. All right. So first, I need for you to repeat after me. Just because the news says it doesn't make it true. Again in the back. Just because the news says it doesn't make it true. All right. Second, there are nuances to every market. Seriously. When interest rates were 3% and there were a dozen offers per property, yes, that was the case for most properties. But there are always nuances here, and those nuances were what I call the art of timing. Sometimes there were a few days of, say, torrential rain and nobody went out to see homes. It's like weird, but nobody will go see homes in torrential rain, snow, ice, they don't care. Sometimes it seemed like everybody and their mother actually went out of town for Mother's Day. And if they were out of town for the weekend and you were in town and you kept at it, you might be able to get an offer that would stick. In the wildest year of real estate to date, 2021, I sold over twice as many homes as I do in a normal year. And it wasn't because I advised everybody to just bid higher and throw more money at it. Many of those clients that year secured their home thanks to some really excellent timing. Some were relationships with the listing agent or the reputation of my brokerage that they went with. And some, like I said, was just strategy and timing. It was really interesting. The same goes for now. Yes, the market is slower because interest rates shot up into the 7s, but don't assume that no one out there is getting multiple offers or that you can send over a super lowball offer. These are the same sellers, don't forget, who bought when the rates were low and they've got 3% interest rates. So many of them aren't going to sell for less than market value. They still want their price and they are just sitting on a nice little interest rate and they don't care if they don't get it. So you have to know your market. It's not enough to know the town or the city. Sometimes there's a difference on one side of town or the other. Don't assume that because the headlines say that real estate is dead, that there aren't still multiple offers. I've actually had a few clients engage in multiple offers, even in the dead of summer. Even when the headlines screamed about it being a soft market, we were still getting multiple offers on some stuff. Next mistake, the loyalist. Your friend is a lender. That's great. Sometimes this can work out if you have the kind of friend who is going to give it to you straight. And I can appreciate loyalty to those who you enlist to help you with large life decisions. I totally get that. But sometimes loyalty can be a detriment and misguided. If the type of property that you are purchasing or the location where you are looking is something that the lender isn't familiar with, this could impact you in significant ways. For example, there has recently been a ton of change with respect to the financing of condos. The areas where condo financing guidelines have been the most impacted are actually resort areas, coastal areas, because of the condo building collapse in Florida. Surfside, you might remember that. Navigating the changes for even what seems to be the most low-risk condo is something that you need the right lender for. So what if the property you're buying isn't a regular condo? What if you're buying one of those coastal properties? So we own a property at the beach in Delaware, and something really like interesting but unnerving just happened. There's a buyer who's under contract on a condo next door to the condo we own. We have no involvement in this. We just hear about it because my husband's on the board. So the buyer insisted on using their lender from a far away place, very far from Rehoboth Beach. This place is called Arlington, Virginia. Have you ever heard of it? Anyway, the lender sent a basic condo questionnaire to the manager, which has questions on it asking like how many units are rented and how many people have long-term leases. That's not how this building works. So there's all different kinds of classifications when it comes to condos. There's something called a condotel, which is like a condo hotel, and you could rent in there for a night or 2 nights just like you could in a hotel. That's not what this building is where we own. The building requires a minimum of a 1-week rental. That changes a little bit of the flavor of what a lender needs to know and needs to be able to do to pull off a loan in there. Most lenders won't touch a condotel, but there are a very small subset of lenders who will do the resort or the weekly rental buildings. This is a very specialized loan product though, and there are only a couple lenders who do them. And guess what? They're all in Delaware. They're all in that town. So sometimes there really is a huge benefit to listening to your agent when they tell you, hey, you should really pick somebody local. It's not just that it's like their friend, it's that they know that this person can navigate the construct that sort of is happening with whatever the lending situation might be in the real estate, rules. All right, now I've had clients use their friend who is a lender, and sometimes it works really well and they knock it out of the park, but sometimes it doesn't. You have to be prepared to pivot quickly if it goes awry. And you also have to make sure that your deposit isn't at risk if you've burned through all your contingency timeframes because you chose the wrong lender and they can't do the loan before you actually have time to find the right lender. All right, the next mistake is the blind spot. Some of y'all are funny. I have seen some wickedly smart, experienced buyers not even acknowledge the potential for life changes in store for them in the near future. People get married and they buy a 2-bedroom condo without any thoughts about an exit plan. And it's not really my place to ask you, like, guys, do you plan to have kids or more than one? But I'm freaking nosy, and I also want to ensure that you make the right choice for the foreseeable future. So I'm actually going to mention that if you outgrow this place in 3 years, you might not be able to break even. You might not be able to get your money back. A lot of agents don't do that, and I know that they don't. They probably don't mention it because, as you guessed, they think, I'll get them to buy now, I'll get them in 3 years when they sell, and then I will help them buy the new place after that. So that's 3 transactions instead of 1, but this is what I think of that. That's not cool. So I don't want that. I don't want you to be unhappy. I want you guys to be as happy for as long as possible. I want you to tell all your friends, Melissa got all up in our business and pointed out things that we didn't even think of. And that's how we ended up buying the right property. Some people are going to say to you, oh, we're not having kids. All right. I mean, I've been there. I was there once or twice. I was there all through my 20s and most of my 30s. But you know what makes somebody want something that they said they don't want? It's when it's being taken away from them. We all know that once you get older, sorry for us women, the chance for kids diminishes eventually to like 0. When people face that reality, some of them actually do a complete 180. Other ways people don't consider how their lives will evolve: retirement needs, adult kids coming back home, accessibility as they age, or maybe parents needing to move in. So some smart choices that we're seeing new home builders make right now is with respect to their main level floor plans. They have like a full primary suite, and they'll call this maybe a guest quarters, an in-law suite, and that it's definitely like separated and more private from the rest of the main level. And the icing on the cake is that bedroom has its own full bathroom, but there's another half bath on the same level so that guests don't have to intrude on that primary bedroom space that you've got on the ground floor. That is amazing. And so there's things like this that exist, and you just have to kind of think about what's going to happen for us in the future. So that's definitely something that I sometimes see people buy a house and then call me a year later and say, I had a baby. And I'm like, wait, you didn't know that this was going to happen? But, too late by then. We got to find them a new house. All right, next up is the incompatible. Now, remember how I said some of y'all are funny? Some of y'all are really funny. So when it's just one person who I'm working with that's buying a home, say without any money or input from parentals or a partner, there's really not a lot of internal negotiating that these buyers have to do with themselves. It's like, what's her name says that airy, whatever, grande. They see it, they like it, they want it, they buy it. So then you have the couples. They are both going to live there. They are both going to have opinions. Sometimes they are very strong opinions. Sometimes couples are completely on the same page and it's not a struggle. Other times they aren't on the same page, like at all, like not even in the same book. You will often hear the joke that we become de facto marriage counselors. This is very accurate. So I learned something about myself selling real estate. I know you don't care, but it does apply to you. So here we go. I've always approached selling houses to couples with what I thought was a valid assumption, that married people talk to each other. And most times they do, but sometimes they talk at each other or they aren't really listening to each other. And then that's how you end up with me sitting with them in the living room of the 39th house that they've seen, looking at each other, wondering, why haven't we found the one? This is a very delicate place for Melissa to find herself. I don't want to have to tell you all to talk to each other, but you must talk to each other and you must listen to each other. And your must-have list has to be from both of you, not from one of you. Otherwise, you might waste your time looking at houses that won't work and you're not even able to pinpoint exactly why they won't work. Next mistake, the slap heard round the world. No, this is not the Will Smith, Chris Rock slap. This one is a slap that stings because when it happens, you actually thought you were doing everything right, okay? You just found out you were outbid on your dream house. Or maybe your offer was a few minutes too late and they already signed something else. The listing agent tells you though, hey, we still have inspections and financing to get through. Have your client write a backup offer, and if things fall apart, they can just slide right into first place. Sounds good, right? Sliding into first place kind of sounds like they're saying you can slide right into home plate, and then you score. Stop that. Never, ever, ever. I never want you to agree to be the backup. I never want you to agree to be second best. Never, ever do this. Do you want to know why? I know you do. In theory, the backup offer should hold your spot in line. In practice, it actually functions like a threat to keep the current buyer on the straight and narrow. So if they want to ask for home inspection repairs, the seller just says, hey, I've got this other offer over here and you can go pound sand. And they can do that with the confidence of knowing that they've got you, and if they just turn around and sign it as is, you're locked in, they've got you locked in. So what did we say about telling people that they can't have something? As soon as that buyer is told, the first buyer, that you got to stop asking for stuff on home inspection because we're not giving it to you, we have another offer, they want it more. Suddenly, that buyer is practically agreeing to rebuild the whole house just because they don't want you to get it. And the reality is that sellers almost always prefer to proceed with the devil they know than the devil they don't. The only thing a backup offer does is make the seller's life better. Could you say it again, please? I sure could. The only thing a backup offer does is make the seller's life better. That's not your job anymore if you're not going to get that house. Now, what are you saying to yourself right now? This girl's an idiot. I want that house. So shouldn't I show them that I'm interested? Yeah, but the better path forward here is for the buyer's agent to stay in constant contact with the listing agent. Legit being on speed dial. I want to be all over that agent like Taylor on Travis. But in between my stalkerish phone calls to the listing agent, I'm also going to tell you that we should continue our home search because it's not a huge chance that these things fall apart. They sometimes fall apart. It's not a huge chance, and so I don't want you to put all your eggs in that basket, but I definitely don't want you to invest any more time thinking about it by writing a backup offer and thinking that maybe that will come to fruition. Those are the 5 not so common buyer mistakes that I see today. If you have any questions or any info that you need about real estate, buying, selling, call me. My contact info is coming next.